welcome to the Spot Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Luanda.
Tiffany.
And I'm Ron.
And today we are here to talk about SnowFall. This is season 5, episode 5, and it was titled The Illiad Part 1. So if you guys hang tight, we'll get started in just a second. Like I said, we're talking SnowFall. A lot of stuff happened this week, a lot. And it seemed like things just kept going from bad to worse. So, the episode opens with Sissy, and she is meeting up with Reuben, the guy who is supposed to be helping her take Reed down. However, it seems like they have differing opinions on how it should be done, because Reuben kind of wants to use Franklin as a way in, and he wants to plant like a listening device to collect information on Reed's operation, and unfortunately that would affect Franklin too. And Sissy's like, slow your roll. She was like, I am not willing to take Teddy down at the expense of my son.
No.
Yeah.
So
they have a different angle. They have another angle.
Yeah.
And this guy, I still don't trust him. Something about him is
I don't
like
either.
it doesn't feel right.
It doesn't feel right to me either.
Well, my question is, it seems like he's some sort of Fed or some sort of so.
I think like Mexican CIA.
So I'm trying to understand why Sissy would trust him, and even to begin with. I mean, and then. When dude wants Sissy to literally drop her son in his lap, if I was Sissy, I would have just gotten up and split. I wouldn't have said another word to him, because in a sense, she's already made him culpable, because, you know what I'm saying? And
I was gonna say, she's already said too much.
Yeah, you already said too much. And now I bet you when he comes back, he's going to try to put her in a position where she can't do anything but do what he wants her to do. So, again, people getting into the business and not knowing the business.
Yeah. But I think what she thought she knew is probably just not relevant or helpful to her right now. Because I think it was one of those situations where the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Right.
And so she was thinking that an attack on someone who maybe has a vendetta against Reed / Teddy or the United States government, that they had joint interest in seeing him removed, however that is, but they had ulterior motives, which I guess she didn't think of. That surely they'd have to have something else in it other than just to take him out.
Right. And I was trying to figure out why she involved Franklin at all in the first place, because if she wanted to get revenge on Teddy, she could have just told him, like, I suspect that he killed my husband. Like, he did not need to know nothing about Franklin being involved with Teddy. Like, she could have strictly kept it at, I'm avenging my husband. So I'm like, yeah, she literally has.
She probably figured that she had to give him something to make them play ball. And I think at this point, she's just kind of blinded by vengeance.
Yeah, it's also it's that emotions will do some harmful things to you, because that's what she's operating off of.
Yeah, but it seems like she might have been contemplating still, because it was like, I know she said she wasn't willing to give, to sacrifice Franklin's freedom and all that for Teddy, but he was kind of like, think about it. And he kind of tried to convince her that it was a protection for the family. Like, whatever Franklin, any way that Franklin is captured or recorded, we can use that as leverage or something like that. So I'm like, I don't know. Sissy still didn't, she wasn't completely sold, but it seemed like she might have still been thinking about it.
It felt like coercion.
It did.
Not persuasion, but coercion, like the undertone of, if you don't.
That part, yes. So I was like, where is this going? Like, is Sissy about to infiltrate Franklin's system of things with like, because she's demanded honesty out of him, but she's not giving him honesty in what she's doing. He doesn't even know anything about this whole ordeal yet.
Well, he probably knows more than she. I think he knows more than he's letting on, which is why
I'm talking about Franklin.
He's talking about
Franklin has no
Franklin.
idea about what she's doing.
No,
Right.
Yeah, he unfortunately, but but then again, Franklin's a smart guy, and I think that's why he didn't want his mother in this whole thing to begin with, because he knew it could go sideways or left. And he just wanted to keep his mother free and clear, but it's not the case. And so I just think, this dude is going to come back with reason and probably something more tangible to make her do what she doesn't want to do. And he's lying to her in the first, like you said, telling her that they'll protect the family. It's like when you get when you're charged with something and the police look at you and say, well, if you give up X, Y, and Z, we'll tell the court that you helped. That don't matter jack. Because if they want you, they're going to take you down no matter what the police say to them. And she's in that same kind of situation right now. So, it's sad, but I think she's going to have to give him. I think she's going to have to give him up.
Well, I think this guy Reuben, I'm, putting him on deck to get the hands. He's on deck.
Yes. Yeah, he's on deck.
Really coming.
I think Sissy should get the hands. I mean, Sissy ought to know. She ought to know who she's dealing with. You gotta know.
I'm not. No, you're right. You're right, because she's playing with fire now. And that's why I said I think she's blinded by vengeance at this point.
She's got good intentions though.
And I think she hid that anger very well from Franklin. He has no idea how angry she is and how how she's seeking revenge. I think. I think it would be. I think he might be surprised how far she's willing to go get Teddy.
Which is why I think this is going to go badly. I think this is going to go badly. Like, I get it, and I feel for her, because, look, I want vengeance for her. But I just feel like the way she's going about it is going to go badly.
Yeah. And speaking of things going badly, Franklin goes to meet up with Teddy to, make the usual drop. And like I said in this episode, things just kept going from bad to worse. So this is bad. First of all, Peaches, he's out of commission. So Franklin has this backup guy there with him. And I think like once the place started getting shot up, they both looking at each other sideways like, is this you? And then they like, is this you? You the one that got new people popping up here with you this week. So it was just all bad. And then, Reed got shot. And then Oso gets shot, and I'm like, Teddy, like if Oso was thinking they were friends, he shouldn't be thinking that anymore, because he straight up stole his ride and rolled out on him
and left them with no ride.
Yeah, look, Reed ought to get the boot. I mean, forget the hands.
He can get the hands. And look, and I wasn't mad at him getting shot.
Right.
I wasn't mad at him too. I was hoping he was going to die on the way and crash or something.
Yeah.
But it also goes back to what is up with Franklin. I mean, you are a big time drug dealer and you got no crew with you. You're always out in the open, doing whatever as if it's, no, like a sunny day. You don't have to worry about yourself. It's like.
We had Pepito or Frito or what was the dude's name that came in Peach's place?
I don't remember his name.
He had a loner.
Yeah.
It didn't matter because it didn't matter. What you say, he's not long for this world, it didn't matter.
Right.
It
didn't matter because whatever he was, he was. So he
was definitely ineffective because he was the first to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean it's a discreet location, and it didn't appear that they were being followed because whoever was tailing them had like a long distance in between them, so they had enough time to park and chit chat for a second before the car even rolled up. So I'm just thinking like Franklin doesn't roll heavy. First of all, because he wants to be discreet about his dealings with Reed, and he don't necessarily want people knowing or seeing Reed's face.
Well, I guess.
So that's why it's kind of like restricted to just like his personal security and him.
Well, I guess he got to rethink that now, because you know, you got this crew coming at you, and he needs a new driver. A good driver can spot somebody following.
Somebody knew the drops.
Yeah,
because all of them.
Everybody got hit.
You know, the first thing I thought about was Kanan and Power, like how everybody was hitting Ghost and them crew. I mean, how all their spots were getting hit, and he thought it was Roller, but it was somebody else, and it was actually Kanan making
inside job.
An inside job. So I'm like, this is real sus.
Yeah, and so it was kind of scary because like after Franklin got hit, he made the call to Jerome, and as he's on the phone with Jerome, he can hear them getting hit. So I know, like, I was thinking about this, like, dang, this the 80s. They ain't got no cell phones.
I thought the same thing. I was like, dang, they can't text. They had called. They have to get to a payphone.
And beepers and stuff can't even send a text. They got to send like 911 or something, you know, something nondescript.
I know, and stand out in the open in a very dangerous part of town. Well, at least dangerous for them at that moment.
Yes.
No Ubers. They couldn't call Uber or Lyft.
Nothing.
They were stranded.
You'd have been better off with smoke signals.
So I just was thinking about that, like, dang, times have changed so much, but it made the situation so much more dangerous because you don't have the lines of communication that we have today. And so Franklin is, of course, running on the run with Oso. They get rolled up on by the gang, almost got robbed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like,
I was like, they knew when to get low because Franklin know what in the wind.
Yeah, him and Oso was just standing there, and Oso's like, run, and he took off. So I was like, man, that day was one for the books. I'm sure he won't forget that one anytime soon.
Well, Franklin, take another clip with you next time. You know, maybe 2 or 3. He ran out of bullets and nothing else. Didn't have anything else. That's what I'm saying. You know, you may need to stay Ghost and let somebody else do your runs for you, because you're not helping yourself, man. I wouldn't be caught dead with one clip if I'm a drug dealer.
Right. Yeah. He needs to hit up Avi and get some more heavy artillery or something.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Avi was busting.
He was busting.
Yeah, Avi was busting back too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I thought Avi had, made the setup, but obviously not, because I think he lost a guy, didn't he?
Yeah, he lost a man too.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like, I really need to figure out who this inside person is that's doing all this stuff. And of course, Aunt Louie had to call Bo again to come to the rescue. I know she did not want to do that, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Yeah. And so she had to do what she had to do.
That hand played out.
And it's good that they have him in their pocket for situations like this. Even though he's a jerk.
But yeah, that's the kind of person you hate to have owe you a favor. He's the worst. And I really thought Uncle Jerome was gonna punch him. Regardless of the fact that there were other LAPD sitting out, he was still ready to knock this dude out.
Jerome was going off. I was like, okay, old Jerome is back.
Right. But she's gonna have to do something for that favor though. Yeah. And he's asking for her to give someone up. And I am so curious to see if she gives anybody up, will it be Leon?
I mean, he's the most expendable, I guess, out of everybody.
I think so. And the thing is, when you think about last season, like they weren't on the best of terms anyway. They weren't on the best of terms. And she was the one, like when that stuff was going on with Man Boy and stuff, she was like, you got to give him up. Remember, she was the one advocating to give him up. And Franklin said, nah. So if she does go that route, she's not a snitch. However, if he presses hard about her having to give somebody up, I think Leon will be the one.
Yeah. And I know Louie is still kind of side-eyeing Franklin because he stepped to her with the real estate deal. And she's like, when did we ever say we were in? He kind of just like pushed up on him and was like, y'all need to do this, And so I think that they still have some work to do on bridging their relationship. But if I was them, like, it's it's justified to not trust Franklin, especially in business deals after what he did with them old people and stealing a bookstore. I would not go in on any deal with him.
Well, I think Louie was right at this point, because your dreams don't have to be mine. I got my own.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
And, and that's what she told him. And for Franklin to not understand that, all because of what he wants,
he's very selfish.
That's extremely. And so I thought, I'm glad she held her point, and like, no, this isn't what you want, isn't what I want. I got dreams too.
Mm-hmm. And then to send Sissy and Veronique back to, try to convince them further. It's like, okay, this is too much. I mean, I get their concern about like having legitimate money and being able to have a life outside of the drug dealing. Like that is still very important, but let them do it their way.
Right.
Yeah, because Franklin is just hijacking people's lifestyle and their money at this point.
He, for somebody who's very controlling, I think this experience had to be almost a nightmare for him, because he had no control. He couldn't reach anybody. He was kind of left out there for a minute. So I think that's I wonder what kind of impact that's going to have. I think it's going to make him clamp down even more. So I think he's going to be a little bit more out of control.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about like once he got tranquilized by that guy whose house they broke into, and I'm like, he literally had to feel out of control. Like you can't even control your body and your emotions at that point.
Okay, here's where I get a little concerned about the writing. Now, this I think was a throwaway segment of the show, because you got this taxidermist who obviously is a hunter. He's a white man living in a low-income neighborhood, and this dude is harboring a tiger. Now, I just wasn't expecting that, and it's I'm floored. I couldn't get I had to pick myself off the floor when I saw that segment.
It wasn't the same, but it made me think about that episode on Atlanta when Lakeith Stanfield character went to the guy Teddy's house.
Yes, I thought about that too.
I thought about that. That was really weird. And then there's this, I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but there's this comedy on HBO called Southside. And they had an episode to where there was a guy in the hood who specialized in making fur coats out of hood animals.
That's what I'm saying.
So
that's
one day the characters got trapped. They got trapped in the apartment or in the house. And so I was thinking that on both of these episodes. It didn't seem that strange to me, because
because it's some people that's done some stuff like that and had alligators and everything when they weren't supposed to. And it reminded me of that movie, Don't Breathe. And I don't know if anybody has seen that scary movie about that old blind man and the kids broke into his house thinking that he was an easy mark, and he like,
well, you taught him something, but
he taught him something. And
that's what I was about to say about this, because Franklin and them chose the wrong house.
Exactly.
Well, I thought they were going to try a vacant house, and then they see a window open, and then
they thought they thought it was because they said, "Oh, there's no car in the driveway, this, that, and the other." They thought nobody was home.
Look, when I went in there and saw that giant bear meeting me at the, that would have been my first impression. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes if it's too good to be true, it usually is.
I love the home defense with the darts.
Yeah.
I mean, he put them both.
Clearly, somebody had broken his house before, because the man was like, "Yeah, you muchachas, been coming in here." So I was like, "Oh, okay, some people been in his house before," and that's
why. Yeah, I said it was too easy of a mark. That was almost a trap.
I was gonna say it looked like a trap. I mean, because if someone breaks into your house, you're not going to leave your windows unlocked. Typically you're going to lock everything up. But he leaves his window open and he's hidden. So it's like he was expecting somebody to come in. It's not like it's not like they caught him by surprise. He was ready for them.
Yeah, that's why I think that had happened before. I think some people had broken in his house before. But the funny part was when Franklin was like, he's gonna stop you, Gustavo.
Yeah.
He's gonna stop you.
He said, Franklin, you're too skinny, but this one over here.
But I think next week we're going to get more explanation about like this guy, and it might actually end up being somebody they can use. I don't know. I mean, you never know. Sometimes you run into people that are beneficial in unusual ways. So I want to know what this guy is all about. Maybe he'll be a help.
The thing that concerns me about that is that you know, when they were in that space, I guess Franklin, you know, felt vulnerable, not knowing what happened to his people, if he was going to make it out of that situation. So he disclosed to Gustavo to also that Veronique was pregnant. And I was like,
don't.
And what if Gustavo also tells Teddy?
Right.
So I was just like, oh my gosh. I was like, no, I was like, Franklin is saying too much. And I was like, and I know he's saying it because he's probably like, I might not survive this.
Yeah, but
this situation.
It also goes back to Teddy after Teddy, you know, broke
Thank you.
You know, I'm sorry. There's a huge problem when somebody
breaks. He already started explaining for Teddy, because when Franklin asked also about Teddy, he said he was shot. So he was trying to, you know, get away. And he was like, I don't know if he made it. So I think in Gustavo's mind, he probably has already justified why. So I can see him.
That's an interesting justification when you yourself got shot and you stayed.
But so, I think he understands it's a part of the game too. He knows what he signed up for.
Well, that's my point. So,
and he's not the type to make excuses.
Well, he just did for
well, you know, I'm talking about for himself. Like, he's not about to just like.
My thing is, if I'm gonna hang in when I get shot, my boy better hang in with me, because you know
they're not boys.
But you know what? Let's go back to Teddy when Teddy was staking him out, right? And Franklin started that conversation. He could, you know, Teddy in his mind could be thinking they set me up. So we really don't know what Teddy was thinking at that point. Because he's definitely thinking Franklin did it. He might be thinking they did it.
That's could be. But maybe that's why he left. That's a good point. And I guess we hope to see, you know, how that plays out next week. But, you know, it was a funny scene to watch him just skip. You know, he took the car and like.
I know. And then look back.
Yeah. If I'm Gustavo, I would be seriously considering my allegiance to Teddy. So, and you know, Teddy has clearly burned a lot of people in his lifetime, because this chick, Parissa, who he goes and wanders all through her house, leaving blood trails everywhere, and she comes home to find a shot up car in her driveway, and she finally walks in and sees that it's him, and she's like, Thomas, you know, she clearly knows him by some other alias. So this guy's like the master liar, and he has clearly already burned her in the past. You can hear that they have history, and it's not a good one. So the fact that he would just show up at her house like that, I'm sure it was a very unwelcome surprise for her.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room.
And what's that?
Yeah, what's that?
She's nasty. She is playing with herself.
She's definitely that's odd that you would get off to someone being hurt and in pain. I don't know what kind of sadistic thing she's into, but that was strange.
That was nasty.
That was funny. That was funny.
And her character description is described as a strong-willed, powerful, educated, sexual, with a droll and dry sense of humor. So she's also a former physician who has history with Teddy and tends to him as he's been hurt.
She's a super freak. Put that, take sexual out and put super. That's what she is. Nasty.
Well, she being a former physician, I guess if she was in her birth country as a physician there, she said she was used to actually doing the surgeries and mending, like doing the heavy work in the hospital. But I guess here in the US, she's just doing, you know, busy work.
Yeah, she was doing all right.
She could have done everyone a public service and let them die.
Hey.
Hello?
And I typically don't say that about human beings, but He could have gone.
Yeah. I wasn't mad at her when she literally rubbed salt in his wounds.
Right. She threw it on him like.
That was funny. But you know what? Reed is a hell of an actor, because that squeal that he let out when that salt hit him, I mean, that's what sold it. You know, I mean, I felt it for him, you know.
Yeah.
It's funny. I guess back in her country, she could practice medicine. And I was wondering, you know, after she sews up her clients, what, she gives them happy endings or something? Because, you know, I know. Look, I'm still on that track. When I saw that, I just couldn't help. I can't get my mind off that track.
Well, look, Teddy was already high. He had the best medicine, I guess, when he snorted that cocaine. I know they say cocaine is a hell of a drug, but it seemed to have given him a second lifeline.
Yeah, that's what, when he did it, I was like, he's still thinking about it. And my son was like, no, he's numbing the pain. He did it to numb the pain. I was like, that's right.
No, remember, we said the 3 H's. High, hurt, and horny. That's what that cocaine do for
probably perfectly describes Teddy's mood right then and there, because he was kind of loopy, like in and out of it, and you could, even as he was kind of like giggling, it was funny. I was like, this is such a strange episode, but in the funniest way, because you get all of these moments that are not supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know about this chick, Parissa, because she then goes to his trunk and she discovers the cocaine. So I'm like, I know she knows that he was in the CIA, because he told her, like, I'm doing this in support of the mission and I got hurt. But I don't think she knows that his mission includes selling drugs. So it's gonna be interesting how he tries to explain that one to her. And what she does with the drugs.
Right, that's what I say. Is she gonna steal it?
And she said she said she went out to hide the car, but I doubt it. I think she wanted to do just what she did. Search the car for stuff, and she found it. You know, because the car had been in the driveway for hours. If somebody were going to report it, they would have by then. I just think she went out to search the car and she found it. So it's a good point. What is she gonna do with it? You know, now that she knows that those are there are drugs back there. She already said that. What did she say? To help him out, it would cost him $250,000 or something. To that
effect. And he said he got it. So you know, I think that she's going to try to blackmail him, because he already clearly owes her. And then with finding the cocaine, I feel like she's going to weasel her way into doing something with him. You know, I know she wants something in return for her services. So either she's going to want the drugs, or she's going to want some a bigger role in whatever he's doing. Something. I got a feeling that she might not be around too long, considering how Teddy treats the people he knows.
He's going to get her back for that salt, I'm telling you. It is.
You better be thankful to her for saving his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah, because he really could have been out of here. And I think I'm wondering how Franklin and Oso feel, like if they think that he's dead too. Like, are they contemplating his replacement and how to move on without him? So I really
gotta get out of their predicament.
They gotta go back and find the money.
Yeah, because you know you left it wide open. Anybody can crawl under that crawl space. And
so it was at a church, right? It looked like the building that they were hiding under was a church. I couldn't quite tell, but it looked like it had like some artwork on the side of the building. And I was like, maybe that's a church or something.
I couldn't tell.
But I was like, if that's the case, then perhaps it could be like a safe spot, because typically people not going in to rob the church, but you know, sometimes that's a good front for other things too.
Hey,
so it could go either way.
Look, the people in the church rob the church all the time, so you know you gotta be careful. You know, but I don't know. It was the whole a good episode, a little weirdness in it, and I just don't remember SnowFall being having those little weird moments like that. And I'm talking about with the tiger. And
well, usually when they do, it's for a reason, and that's why I'm like, this might have a purpose.
Well, I'm sure it does. It just came at you all of a sudden. Bam.
Yeah.
Then I think that sometimes the wildest story may be based in fact. It's just so wild and out of left field that it must have come from somewhere. I'm thinking
stuff that you can't make up.
Yeah.
Somebody has a vivid imagination.
Yeah. So next week it seems like it's going to be all about them finding Franklin, because at the end they kind of all met back up at the club and everybody was like, okay, we're going to go out looking for Franklin. And of course Sissy and Veronique wanted to help, and they were like, pump your brakes, stay here, y'all not going nowhere. So everybody's in search of Franklin, not sure whether he's dead or alive. And Jerome kind of showed them like Franklin's a survivor.
Right.
So I guess we can drop the idea that Veronique is some sort of special ops.
Well,
no, I'm not dropping nothing. I'm still side-eyeing her. No.
When Jerome
she know exactly what to do, and she ain't let on to the cops. Like, I mean, she's also an attorney.
Yeah.
When the cops came, she could have let them know.
That's what I thought she would do. Play that role.
That she is an attorney.
She tried to play damsel in distress, and
and it worked.
No. What worked was
Louie.
Yeah, jumping in and saying, "I know, Bo." She knew this.
Yeah, that did work. But when she started playing damsel in distress, Sissy was like, "Oh, she's pregnant."
Yeah.
Too. So that did,
That's a white cop. He'd have picked her up anyway and said, "Give me your purse," and that would have been all over for her.
Yeah, but the way she told them, like, "Give me your guns," and they were like, "Well, what you gonna do?" And she's like, "Don't worry about it." And I'm like,
"Know exactly what to do." And I'm just side-eyeing her every episode now. Ever since I seen her break that gun down last, nah.
Okay. Yeah, you planted the bug in my head too, so now I'm looking at her too.
Yeah. It's got to be a sick feeling for like Louie and Jerome and Sissy, knowing that all those innocent people, were killed and shot because they were there. It's a sick feeling.
Yeah, you could tell Sissy was like affected when she seen the woman crying over her man. It was like, I know that had to bring back some painful memories for her, considering what happened to Alton. So it's like this cycle continues. Man, but it was a really good episode. Definitely a lot of action.
We didn't even touch on Leon though.
So Leon and his crew, it seems like some people are disrespecting him and his crew, because you remember when dude was like talking to him and he was like, "Who are you talking to?" And the dude was like, "I know he ain't talking to me. He must be talking to you." So I'm like, is there trouble within Leon's crew? And then the whole situation with the guy that got shot, whoever did the drive-by on them, they shot one of their guys, but apparently Leon was like, "I don't recognize this person." He had no ID on him.
He said that, but the look on his face, it looked like he did, and maybe he didn't. When I saw the look, I was like, okay, did he recognize this guy? Or number two, or was it just like, now that Leon has found this consciousness, is he like, man, I had to shoot another brother? Like, so I was trying.
Like it was that.
Yeah, that's what I think it might have been. It might have been like, dang.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially since he kind of like reneged on Ivy and was like, "I don't want the heavy like machine, the big guns that he hates. Like, just give me a couple handguns and maybe a shotgun or two." And Ivy's like, "Sorry, but this deal don't come with a receipt." So
yeah.
But it seems like that conversation he had with Sissy made him change his mind about getting all of those, top military guns to go to war. So his so-called war with the police. So he's definitely having like some moral challenges.
Well, even this political thing, trying to get into the politics of and not a bad thing. The Panthers did it, of course, but I think that's where the dissension in his camp is coming from, because all of a sudden he starts talking, like a Black Panther or something, religion, and they don't know where this is coming from.
Yeah, he was heavy on the Malcolm X episode.
Indeed. So I think he's going to have trouble with his crew. Which goes back to what I said about Franklin. Franklin needs a crew that he can depend on. Because if Leon is his muscle, there's trouble in the camp.
But do we think Leon, so he has his own crew, of course, but if his authority is being challenged, how far can that go? Because we always talk about the conversation between being loved and respected or feared, and you're amongst your crew. And so I think Franklin's somebody who is definitely feared. And I'm wondering, does Leon have the street cred that he does because of Franklin's backing? Like, do they genuinely respect him, or is it just because he's associated with Franklin that they're kind of like scared
it
of
used
him?
to be the other way around though.
Yeah.
Because Leon was the one that had the street cred.
Right.
And remember when Franklin started, Franklin was like,
he was
green.
green.
He
But
was
now,
a
I'm
third.
talking about right now.
Yeah, now and stuff. But
it seems like it seems like they're so removed from each other, though. I mean, and the more you see Leon, the more he's drifting, to the left. And I just don't think that they're beginning to be oil and water. There's no mixing, and so
that's because he told him last year he was trying to get out.
Yeah.
And Franklin pretty much forced his hand and said, no, you're gonna, after all the things I've done for you, you're staying in it. So it's probably some resentment there.
Yeah.
From that. And then he is changing. He's finding this level of consciousness.
Yeah.
So,
and I
feel like oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think his crew views that as a weakness.
Yeah, they do.
When he's trying to find a different approach, I think they view that as weakness.
And I was gonna say, if there's going to be anybody that's a mediator between Franklin and Leon, I think it would be Sissy. Because I think she could help re-bridge the gap between them if there is one to be bridged. But there's definitely something brewing amongst Leon and his crew.
Sissy could bridge the gap, but I think it would be ineffective because Franklin's argument would be like that conscious behavior is what got Alton killed. So you're gonna follow that road?
Wow.
So what do some people say that we're unorganized truth fighting against a well-organized lie? And so you're gonna always feel outmanned and outnumbered until you have some kind of strategy. And it's hard to build a strategy with people who have such lack and desperation and somebody's offering them a way out.
Yes.
And even though it is violent and it's dangerous, it's also very easy because the money comes very quickly.
Right.
And so I think, you start to talk about the distance between Leon and Franklin. The other part of it is Franklin is making way more money than everybody else. Of course, he's taking way more risk, but the amount of money that he's making compared to everyone else is also something I think that separates them. He's living in this high-rise building. It's almost like where they were friends, he's now your boss. And he's not the boss at that.
Yes.
But remember, Leon doesn't really want to spend the money like that. Leon says he wants to help the crew, help the folks around him, which is cool. So yeah, as you said, morally, ethically, they're splitting ways.
They're definitely different.
Now, I wanted to ask the question about Sissy. Is Sissy at a predicament now where she should perhaps confide in Franklin with what she's done? And the reason I ask that is because at this point, Franklin could find out from this, he could find out. And if he does find out what she had done, even though it was to revenge her husband, but what she's put him in, is that something she wants him to find out? Or do you think that she should possibly somehow meet up and confide in him with what has happened so far? Because we don't know what dude is going to do.
I think that everything that's done in the dark eventually comes to the light anyway. And I think it would be much better coming from her than for him to find out that she's been kind of working this covert other mission on the side and it affected him and him not being able to censor himself as he's speaking, like, kind of like he did when Teddy was spying on him. Like he was able to recognize that he was being watched and recorded and then censor his conversation. So it would be beneficial if Sissy would do the same thing, if that's the route they're going to take, so that when he is around Teddy, he knows how to censor himself so as to not implicate himself any further.
Good point.
That what I keep thinking is that once you open some doors, you can't close them. And so I don't know that she can fully protect Franklin at this point because she opened the door, and whatever they want, they're going to figure out how to get it. And the fact that she opened the door, she's made herself vulnerable, because they can try to force her to do it any which way they can, find whatever weak spot she has. And then she's really giving them her weak spot, my son.
Yeah, right. And vice versa though, but she should tell him for her own protection too. Yeah. Because if you're the only one that knows about this thing you have going on the side, then you up and disappear. Who knows what happened and who did it? So it's like if she's to tell Franklin, at least he can get her some kind of security detail to be with her, and so that he always has eyes on her, somebody there to protect her in case something with this Reuben guy goes left.
Yeah. I think she should tell him, but I'm just so concerned about what the outcome is. Because what do you do at this point if you're Franklin? That means as much as you love your mother, now you can't trust her. Right. Because she's willing to do things, even though I think it's for a right reason, it still endangered him. And I don't know if she fully thought it through. There was no way it could happen and not endanger him.
Well, it's equivalent kind of to what Alton did, because what Alton was trying to do was essentially the same thing. He was trying to save his family, but the way he did it endangered himself and his family anyway. So what she's doing is essentially the same.
Exactly the same. Yeah, exactly right. And we know the outcome. So, in my opinion, I'm with Tiara. I think it's time for her to come clean and mention it, say something, because this thing can go left real quick.
Oh, it's gonna go badly. It's gonna go badly. As soon as I saw her talking to that guy, I was like, this is gonna end bad.
Yeah, especially with some of those officials over there too. Like if she was in one of those countries in Mexico or in Cuba, like their officials can be bribed. They're like easily corrupted. So that's why I'm like, this Reuben guy is bad news.
And they're also notoriously dangerous. So she's not, it's different if she were in the US playing at hand, but she's messing with, she needs to leave that man alone. And
but even with the US, you see how like in Ozark, to talk about another show that we cover, how they changed the rules of engagement with Navarro.
And they do it all the time. That's why I don't understand, people trusting, these legal authorities, because all they want is what they want. They don't really care about you.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing where things go. Next week, I just want to know if they're going to reveal who did this hit on all of them, because the show was titled The Illiad, and a little something about what Greek mythology, then what they're alluding to. So it's like, okay. Next week's episode is The Illiad Part 2, so a continuation of this week.
Yeah.
So any guesses on who we think the person is?
Well, I think you threw out Veronique last week when you were saying that maybe she's the inside person.
Well, I think she is one of the inside person. Some chatter that I heard online, and I don't know if this is true or not, but some people are suspecting that Kevin's brother is behind it. Remember that in season 2, Franklin killed his friend Kevin, and we haven't seen his brother yet.
Right.
And so there's been a lot of speculation on online that it might be Kevin's brother targeting Franklin's crew.
And I know some people suspect Scully. I don't think he would do it after they made peace a few episodes ago.
Yeah, this group was better organized. The way they knew both spots. I didn't like their shooting techniques. I mean, they killed people at random. That's why I don't think anyone inside Franklin's core had anything to do with it, because once you start spraying, bullet has nobody's name on it.
I mean, they knew all the drops, so that's what I'm saying.
Well, and then some people are saying like, "Oh, Peaches, he was noticeably absent."
Hey, they were saying Peaches. I'm like, but Peaches is
he got HIV.
Peaches need treatment.
Yes, and you know how I knew they were about to take the HIV route? Because
Parissa.
when Parissa said, some nurses at the hospital have been getting HIV through the blood contact, so she put the gloves on. I was like, Peaches got AIDS.
So that's why I said, I was like, no, Peaches is laid up somewhere. He is not plotting on the crew.
Right.
Maybe he's mad because he got AIDS and he just put it out on everybody,
No.
It's gonna kill everybody. I don't know. I'm joking.
No.
My thought was he had a cold, but obviously I have to give that up because you're right.
No.
The brother coming back would be a good storyline and would make sense too.
Yeah. I heard that online and I was like, that seems plausible to me because there wasn't in previous seasons, there wasn't a reference to his brother. We just ain't seeing.
But we got to find out who gave that information up, though. I mean,
could it be Bo? He has a lot of CIs.
I don't think Bo, or could it have been? I don't know. I don't think Bo would have known his secret meeting.
The other part of it is, it doesn't seem like they're that discreet. It doesn't seem like they are as careful as they should.
That's my point in the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was my point in the beginning. I mean, you just, freewheeling out in the street,
Because even if you didn't take somebody else to see Teddy's face, you could have another car following you that stays a block back or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tactic, but it does seem like they're just out there and they're not really taking security serious. So.
Look at the Serbs. Look at the Serbs, how they travel. They never travel singularly like that. I mean, they always got a crew with them.
Plus, old boy is dropping diss tracks. Like he was giving Franklin them up on tape. And that's playing in the streets and stuff too. So and he was like, I'm just observing the hood. So
that was in the song. That was in the song too, right?
Yeah.
It was in the song.
And that's what I'm saying. If he could pick all of that up just by observing the streets, then everybody else got to see it too.
Exactly. It is not a secret.
But that's kind of true too, like how the streets always know. Now they may not tell the police, but they always know.
Yeah.
Right. Shoot, when the LA Times article dropped, they knew it was Franklin without even saying his name. Mm-hmm. They knew it when they read the article because Man Boy and them was talking about it in the barbershop.
Yep. Yeah. So they better tighten it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at this point, it seems like there's a lot of candidates for who the hit man could be. So I guess we're gonna have to wait till next week to see like who ultimately turns out to be the hitter. And I want to know if they find Franklin, like how are they going to find Franklin at this point, given that he's caged up with a tiger?
No cell phone, no GPS,
no Apple Watch. I mean, it's great.
Do we have any candidates for who can get the hands and for the game ball? Are we giving anybody a game ball? Does anybody deserve one?
No, I don't.
Teddy's forever on the get the hands list. Teddy is forever on the get the hands list.
He's on the get the hands list. Ron wants to put Sissy on there too.
Gotta go. She gotta go.
Yeah. Game ball. I don't have a good candidate. Nobody really stood out to me this episode.
Parissa almost made it, but
he let Teddy live.
Nasty people can't get
Louie for making the boss move with Buckley, even though we don't like Buckley.
No.
But she thought quickly to get them out of that.
No, she knew.
She's always thinking on her toes, but I didn't think it was like game ball worthy yet.
Right. I guess we just don't have one this week.
Because if you think about it, Bo needs her too. So yeah, he's gonna come and get her out of that mess.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, he so no harm, no foul with them.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely looking forward to next week. To all the viewers out there, thank you for watching. Please drop down in the comment section and let us know what you thought about this episode. Give us your predictions for next week and the rest of the season as well. Make sure you also check out our interview with Aunt Louie, who is played by Angela Lewis. We have conversation with her about SnowFall so far and her character. So check that out. And check out some of our other interviews. We recently interviewed Anthony Fleming, who plays JP on Force. And we have some other exciting things coming up too. So stay tuned. Make sure that you subscribe to our channel, click the like button and the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post. You guys have anything to add before we close out? No? All right. Well, thank you guys so much. And we'll be back same time next week. Good night.
I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check, no drip this, wet. Tell him run it up, no sleep, no rest, might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch, tell him run it up. I wake up, flex, thumb down now, check, no drip this, wet. Tell him run it up, no sleep, no rest, might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch, tell him run it up. 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely, turn to a savage, now my